This is the plaintiff, Norman Hargraves. He says he hired the defendant's limo company to take his daughter and her friends out for a night to celebrate her Sweet 16 and had to cancel due to the pandemic. The defendant's being a real son of a gun because she won't refund his money, and that's so not cool. He's suing for $499, the money he's owed. This is the defendant, Amy. She says her contract is crystal clear. If a client cancels for any reason, they can rebook at another time. His wife called about rescheduling. He never did. He still has a credit, but she's not returning his money. She's accused of pooping out on a Sweet 16 party.
All parties, please raise your right hand. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Hargraves, what happened here?
Well, my youngest daughter, she is not one who likes large crowds. So we wanted to have a surprise party for her, like we did for her sister the year before. So I researched and came with the idea of a limousine ride with her and up to, I think it was 16 or 18 of her closest friends. So it was a more intimate situation.
16 or 18, okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was just her peers. So it was something that was that she could do and enjoy just amongst her and her friends. So I, like I said, did some research. I contacted the company. She explained to me, what the price was and all the things that were, involved in the trip. It was supposed to be a up to 4-hour trip, going various places. The driver would be at their disposal. They would be able to have all kind of goodies in the, I guess it was a limo bus, like soda and candy and things like that, and music, and just be able to go out and have a good time. Well, lo and behold, pandemic hit. So
nobody's allowed to have a good time.
No, ma'am.
Yeah.
So actually, I think I booked this on March the 10th. And we were locked down by the state of Pennsylvania.
Your timing is impeccable.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor. It was
and
March the 14th.
When was her birthday supposed to be?
May the 7th, but we had planned this for the next day because it was a Friday, May the 8th.
Right. So you paid in full, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
or
ma'am.
you paid partial. All right. And then what happens? Then we go to lockdown. Then coronavirus hits and sucks all the fun out of life. And then what happens? Do you talk to her and tell her, hey,
Yes, ma'am. So I contacted her, I believe it was like April the 8th or April the 10th. And I said, are we going to be able to do this? Or I think what I actually said was, can I have a refund? Because I don't think we're going to be able to do this. And she said, no, but what we can do is we can reschedule. And I thought, okay, well, I guess we're going to see how long this is going to last because it's, once again, we're at the beginning of this. We have no clue as to how long this is going to go on. So we got further into it. We went through April into May. So I actually contacted her again and said, well, what can we do now? And she said, well, we can reschedule. So I think it was July the 24th or the 27th was when we were going to reschedule. So we rescheduled. So as we got closer to it, once again, we're still under lockdown orders. Our governor doesn't want us going anywhere or doing anything.
Was your governor going anywhere and doing anything? Because I've noticed that a lot of the governors who didn't want us going anywhere and doing anything were going places and doing stuff.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, he did. He went to a couple of Black Lives Matters marches and without a mask, by the way, and a whole bunch of other things.
Without a mask, or we have governors who went to see their family for Thanksgiving, or we have, it's just, we need to end this turmoil. So let me just ask you, you tried to set it up for July, and what was the problem in July?
So when I contacted her in July, she said, well, there are some issues, and part of it being we can only do it for this time frame. They can only go this within this distance. They can't have any of the goodies that they were promised, and they can't. There was one more thing. I think we couldn't have the same number.
They have to wear a mask.
Yes.
And they
Yes,
can't,
ma'am.
you had to have a lower number of people and
Correct.
no goodies and no mask removal. All right, talk to
Correct.
me, Ms. Amy. Talk to me. I have to imagine that of all the industries to be affected, just like venues and party planners and caterers, your industry, and restaurants, of course, your industry was probably hit pretty hard.
Very
So
much.
what have most of your clients done? What has been the solution?
99% of them have rescheduled or just accepted the additional 6 months of credit on top of the year that we usually give to them. So they
so
could
that's
use
good
that
for you. I mean, it would be better to have been able to do those contracts and do new contracts, but at least, 99% of them, decided to do that. Well, Mr. Hargrave is in the 1%, and he wants his money back. So let me hear from you on that.
So originally, before the pandemic, of course, our policy was if you cancel 45 days prior, you would get a full refund. If it's within the 45 days and we can find somebody else to rent that vehicle, then we would still give you that full refund. If it's within the 45 days and we cannot find anybody, you would have use up to 1 year for any of our vehicles. When the pandemic hit, of course, we were shut down 5 days later, unfortunately. I did send a letter to all of our future customers stating that in addition to the 1 year that we do provide credit, they would have an additional 6 months to use for any of our vehicles for nights out, trips to the airport, etc. And so things just kept on piling on with closures.
And how long were you closed?
Well, technically, we're not all the way open yet.
Here's the thing, though. I realize that it is through no fault of your own that this happened, but it is also through no fault of Mr. Hargrave's. And I'm just kind of wondering, why is it that he should be out the money? I know you offered him the July date. How was the July date different than what he contracted with you for? July was supposed to be with what kind of precautions?
According to Governor Wolf's declaration, we could only have 25% of individuals indoors. Everybody in a small limo bus, as you can imagine, that's a very tight space. Everybody would have to keep a mask on. And there was no restriction as to how far they could go. That was never a restriction. However, what was restricted was what they could eat, drink, and what we could provide inside the vehicle, which is complimentary anyway, but we do allow people to bring goodies and snacks and things on the vehicles to enjoy.
Right. So now they couldn't do that. They couldn't take their masks off. And how many people could be on the bus?
25%. So approximately 4 people.
Right. You realize how that's not a real option for them, right? To have 5 people on a party bus. I mean,
I sure do.
Listen, I believe that when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And I am presently in the throes of attempting to make sure that my child's high school does a graduation for my child. I had 2 graduates in 2020, a college graduate and a high school graduate. I am in the throes of, trying to see if there can be a faux prom. So I am always all for, trying to recreate whatever life stole from you in the best way that you can. It's hard to recreate the Sweet 16. Yes and no. You can recreate it. It's much harder to recreate a faux prom, with these kids already in college. It's the parents who want it. I'm not even sure the kids want it. But I don't see how, when push comes to shove, it's his decision. And when it's his decision and he looks at it and says, listen, this ship sailed, the celebration's over. I don't have a use for a party bus. I did what I could, and I tried in July. Even that didn't work. And even today, are you able to provide that party today to him, or you still can't provide that party that he signed up for? Are you still under restrictions?
Yes, we can provide it, yes.
Just recently, they've changed the restrictions, and you can have 50% now indoors.
Oh, 50% now inside.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought you said are you at full capacity, Ms. Amy, or no?
No, we are not at full capacity.
No.
But we could still provide
Yeah.
a vehicle. That is correct.
Yeah, I know, but he doesn't want wheels, you know? He doesn't need a vehicle to go to the airports. He doesn't need a credit. He needs you to provide what he contracted for, which you can't. And I understand that it's through no fault of your own, but in the end, it's through no fault of his either. So this is what we call in the law impossibility of performance. Typically speaking, you don't have refunds except under certain circumstances. But this isn't that situation. In the end, you can't perform what he hired you for, so you've got to return the money to him. And I realize that may feel unfair to you, but it's also unfair to him. And so what the law does is it looks at your contract and it says, okay, was this envisioned in any way and accounted for? And of course it wasn't, because who knew that this would happen? And a lot of contracts from here on in have now taken stuff like pandemics into account, which is crazy to me. But so based on what I'm hearing and based on the facts of this case, this is one where I am going to order you to return the money. $499, verdict for the plaintiff. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the plaintiff will get his money back. Amy, the defendant, let me ask you, are you surprised at the judge's verdict?
I'm neither surprised nor not surprised, I guess. This pandemic has put everybody in such a disarray that everything's up in the air now.
All right. Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to give the money back. Have you had many instances like this where you've had to give money back or not?
No, this is the only one so far this year.
Well, I guess you better hope no one sues you. No one else sues you, because it might end up the same
Absolutely,
way,
absolutely.
You know? All right. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Hargraves, congratulations. Feel better?
Thank you, Mr. Llewellyn. Yeah, I do. I had no hard feelings all along. My only contention was I was just trying to do something to be a good father to my little girl, and I feel ultimately bad because it backfired on her. I do feel bad for the service-oriented industry. They've been hit hard.
Yeah, they sure have. All right, good enough. Harvey, let's get your take on this case.
You know, Doug, I love this because what the judge said is that you can't just say, oh, I'll give you another limo ride, because it was specifically for a Sweet 16 party. You can't say, well, have another fake Sweet 16 and take a limo. It's not the same thing. She lost out on the experience, and that's why they get their money back.
Judge Milian, when is it too late to sue someone for money owed? The money has been owed since about 2014.
Well, every cause of action, every lawsuit has a different statute of limitations, and it also depends on states.
Right.
If you're suing someone over negligence, let's say over a car accident, it may be, you know, in some states it's only 2 years, in some states it's 4 years. If you're suing someone over a debt, that's a little bit more interesting and trickier.
What are the variables that could affect it?
Re-establishing the debt. Like if you are trying to collect from me and I keep putting you off, and I say to you 2 or 3 years, let's say that you're in a state where the statute of limitations is 4 years. Let's say after year 3, I say to you, listen, I just need more time. Can you please just, I am reestablishing the debt. And then the clock starts again. Right. So long as you can prove that there has been back and forth between you folks in the last X amount of time, the statute of limitations.
Recent payment.
Yeah, either a recent payment or a recent text agreeing to pay or anything like that, that starts the clock over.